Hello everyone. I wasn't really planning on making this video today. I've recorded actually one of these update videos before and decided not to post it because I wasn't really sure where I was at, but I figured now's a good time to let you know what I've been up to. I've not posted in 4 weeks on this channel. However, I do have another YouTube channel which you might not know about. It's called Specimen. As you can see, I've been streaming a lot. 12 hours, quite a lot of streaming. Not as many videos recently. I've been focused on streaming, but I've got lots of videos talking about news, meta reports, deck guides on Disney Arcana. So Disney Arcana is a physical card game, but there's a unofficial online client of it where all the cards are available for free. It's called Pixelborn. The game is absolutely tremendous. The third set for Disney Arcana came out about a month ago. The meta's been still developing a lot. You get about 200 cards in a new set. There's so much deck building to be done. There's competitions that are happening in person and also on this online client, Pixelborn. I've been doing commentating for these Pixelborn tournaments with my friend Tia. In fact, this weekend I participated. I finished in the top 8, which was like $150 I got for that. But then I got knocked out and I hopped into cast with Tia to do the semifinals and finals. So just overall been really enjoying making content for something else, a more competitive orientated card game with high deck building skill, which I think is something I've really struggled with Marvel Snap. Now, I want to be quite clear that I think Marvel Snap is probably the best game design I've ever played, like the best design game I've ever played. It is at its core a mobile game with cards. It is not a card game for mobile. They always said that. It's a mobile first game. And I think it's absolutely mind-blowing how well this game is designed, Marvel Snap that is, to be able to create this experience of a competitive card game despite only having 6 turns in a game and despite only having 12 cards in a deck. The fact that there's so much deck variety is nothing short of a miracle. However, I lost my passion for the game quite a long time ago, and I think that was quite clearly reflected in my lack of content, and also a lot of the time when I was streaming, I just wasn't really enjoying myself. So I was in a position with Marvel Snap where I was getting a ton of views at the start of the release of the game. Looking back at some of these videos, the quality of the content was just not particularly good. But I also posted some videos I'm incredibly proud of. This one, almost on 100,000, is an example of that. And I think this is really a reflection of how high quality the Marvel Snap content creator scene is in terms of YouTube in particular. Just some incredibly talented creators. I mean, the 3 that come to mind in particular, you've got Regis, Cozy, and Dexter. These 3 guys are people I mean I've looked up to a lot and learned a lot from them. Definitely at times kind of bordered, particularly on Dexter, of kind of copying his thumbnails a little bit too much. But then, I mean, you've got these 3 guys, but that's only scratching the surface. You've got people like Molt, Nina, Binks, you've got TLSG, so many creators. I'm sorry for whoever I've not mentioned. You've got KM Best. There's just so many amazing creators, top level players, very, very high level content creators. And what I found is the game, from a content point of view, became very saturated, and it became a process I really didn't enjoy. When the game first came out, I was able to build these decks better than a lot of other people because the game was new, the game was fresh. Similarly, when the first set of releases came out, when we had the Shuri, Thanos cards all come out at once, I was really enjoying the game. I was enjoying the experience of optimizing the decks. Then also we had some moments where there was tournaments. This is another video I'm super proud of I made in Marvel Snap, where it was a in-person event in Switzerland, which I was lucky enough to host on my channel. And it's a video I'm super proud of. It was a competitive Marvel Snap tournament, which I turned into content. And that's what I love to do. However, at some point the passion for me ran out and it turned into more of a chore really to be uploading. And I think that's reflected in a lot of breaks really in my upload schedule, particularly around sort of like 9 to 10 months ago. Around this time is where I was kind of just forcing it a bit. I definitely was enjoying it to an extent, but I wasn't really enjoying streaming daily Marvel Snap. It was reflected really in my streams. Like, I stopped streaming as much. When I was streaming, I was kind of like an hour or 2 into my streaming, I was feeling quite unhappy really, which is a really interesting position to be as a content creator, right? Like, you've got this dream job where you're playing games for a living, but then I wasn't enjoying myself. Like, at that point, what is the point? So it's been really refreshing for myself in the last month or so to have created this Disney Arcana channel. I'm on 45 videos in just over a month. I've now kind of established myself as probably the biggest creator on YouTube for Disney Arcana. I'm also streaming to Twitch and to YouTube. Now, My ambition with Disney Lorcana is a couple of things. I'm particularly interested in being part of official broadcasts for the game, because there is an official competitive circuit. But if that is not possible, I'd also be interested in competing. Overall, it's just a game that I'm really enjoying playing in my own time anyway. And why not then try and turn that into something that I create content for? I did also dabble a little bit with creating some more Gwent content. Gwent is now in a position where it's kind of in maintenance mode, where the game is no longer getting official support, but it is kind of getting these monthly updates. Gwent is still a game I'm kind of interested in, but from a content creator point of view, in terms of a professional career choice, it doesn't really make much sense to invest time into, with the fact that the Gwent competitive scene has now finished. I was obviously lucky enough to be the analyst for the final ever Gwent tournament, which happened way back when. As you can see, I also did post like a Disney Lorcana video or two on this channel. I just decided to start fresh, and I'm really glad I did. It was a pretty rewarding experience, honestly, just kind of starting from scratch. As you can see, like a month ago with the release of Set 3, I just started posting a lot of gameplay videos. I was waking up every morning like, oh my goodness, I want to post stuff. And now, the reason I've not posted on any videos on this channel for the last like 2 weeks now is because I've literally just been streaming every day in a quest to get rank 1 on the Pixelborn ladder. Unfortunately, I peaked at rank 3, didn't quite get to number 1 in the world, but will, I'm sure, make another run at it. So that's where I've been. I've been playing Disney Lorcana on Pixelborn, the unofficial free-to-play online simulator for the game. The game's amazing. If you're interested in watching more of my content, I know a lot of you have been subscribed to this channel since the Gwent days, which is way back when. That is where you can find my daily content as it stands. Now, does this mean I'm never coming back to Marvel Snap? I wouldn't say that. I mean, it's unlikely that it's ever going to be my main focus. Similar with Gwent, if I want to play the game, I will play the game. That's kind of where I'm just wanting to be really with content creation at this point. I don't want to force anything. I think that Marvel Snap is still a game I'm pretty interested in overall. I'm still watching a few streams. I've got a lot of friends in the content creator space. People like Ordinary Harry is someone whose stream I will watch quite frequently in the morning in the background when the new cards are released and things like that. But I guess it's a good time to kind of talk about really the Marvel Snap space and what it is I don't like about the game in particular, and why I think that I've just kind of fallen out of love with the game, really. As I mentioned, I think it's probably the best designed game I've ever played. Managing to create this feeling of a competitive card game in such a simple 6-card game with 12 cards is pretty fascinating. There's a few things that I don't like about the game, and I think it's probably like worth separating it into like separate issues. I think first and foremost, the gameplay. I got pretty sick of the gameplay loop, I've discovered. The whole retreat and snap mechanic, while interesting at first, I found to be fundamentally unrewarding as a player, particularly as a streamer that's forced or heavily incentivized to play the game for many hours a day. You're playing so many games in such a short period of time that getting these wins just doesn't feel that satisfying. The culmination of the game often being 8-cube games can more often than not be almost frustrating, because a lot of the time your opponent at a high level is going to retreat and you're not going to get that 8-cube victory. And if you do stay, maybe you made a misplay. Of course, that's not quite true, but really you're rewarded in Marvel Snap for being very conservative, which, while that's fine, that's cool, it's not really... I'm not really a conservative guy. I like going for the style streamer points, right? As a streamer, as a content creator, retreating is inherently a bad viewer experience, and that is actually reflected in many of the top content creators, Regis Kilbin being the one in particular that comes to mind, who actually doesn't even snap in their games, which they record for YouTube, which is absolutely mind-blowing to me that the most popular content creator in the space is not actually playing the game it's designed to play. Now, this is not a knock in any way, shape, or form on Regis. More power to them. I think it's a genius idea, but it kind of reflects my frustrations with the design of the game from a content creator standpoint, particularly someone that is, you know, streaming the game, playing the game for many, many hours a day. I want to play the game as it's intended. I want to try and create the best decks and play the best I possibly can. But there seems to be some kind of conflict between playing optimally and viewer experience, and that's not a great position for the game to be in my opinion, as a content creator. It's just an interesting kind of thing that I wanted to draw attention to. So that's kind of one problem, my enjoyment of the gameplay loop. Moreover, actually, my big enjoyment, my big background in Gwent in particular, and also what I'm really loving about Disney Lorcana is I love building decks. Deck building is something I'm incredibly passionate about. As in Gwent, I kind of had a reputation as being one of the stronger deck builders in the community. In Disney Lorcana, that's kind of similar. You can actually see here Brindlebore, who came third. I came down here. I'm Joe Curley. Specie inspired me to play Green Steel one last time before switching to Steel Song. So again, in Disney Lorcana, I've been creating some decks which have been doing very well in the current metagame, and I think that my deck building skills are something I kind of relied on in my content to kind of stand out. I didn't have the production value of someone like Cozy, for example, although I tried to kind of match that at points, which is just not necessarily my thing, right? It's not what I'm passionate about. I'm really passionate about building really cool decks and sharing them with my community. And I think that Marvel Snap just didn't really reward this kind of deck building. Now, this video is kind of an example where I posted a month ago. I was super disappointed with the performance of the video. Now, there's a few things I could point to. Firstly, the thumbnail is absolutely ugly as anything, despite my best efforts to do it myself. Maybe the title is just not all that. Maybe the quality of the video overall is not that great. But the deck is bloody tremendous. It's a really, really interesting, exciting deck. Similarly, this one. This deck is so good. Okay, maybe the thumbnail sucks. Maybe the title's terrible. Maybe the quality of the video isn't good enough. I'm not certain. But to me, it just seems like that YouTube isn't particularly interested in posting high-quality decks in Marvel Snap, but rather just like whatever the latest new card is, which is fine. That's cool. But as a content creator, I just felt like my style, it wasn't really working for me. Now, there's many reasons for that. Maybe, you know, maybe my passion for the game was lost, and that was kind of reflected. Obviously, these big breaks. Obviously, like I mentioned, the content creator space is tremendous. Overall, I'm just kind of reflecting my thoughts and opinions on my experience of Marvel Snap. And this is not really a new opinion either. I remember making a video, I think it was this video, about 6 months ago, that a lot of time was invested into it. I was really happy with the thumbnail. I thought it was a really, really interesting and unique deck. And the style of video was quite experimental, where I kind of broke down how I came to this deck and why I arrived at it and why I thought it was really good. And the performance of the video was not really what I was looking for. Okay, it was an increase in performance on kind of the videos that I'd been posting at that time, but it just wasn't really what I was hoping for. And overall, I just basically came to a point where I wasn't particularly enjoying the process of creating content for Marvel Snap. I wasn't particularly enjoying streaming it. And sometimes, I mean, this video I enjoyed making. I recorded it off stream. I built a cool deck. I'm still interested in making some Marvel Snap stuff, but now, having now kind of gone from over a year of them making Marvel Snap content back to the Lorcana content, which I've been making in the last few weeks, it's like reinvigorated my passion, and it's reminded me, actually, yeah, this is what it's like to create content for a game that you really enjoy. And I think I just lost the passion for Marvel Snap from both a gameplay point of view, because I think the decks are just like 12 card decks. There's just not enough skill involved in optimizing a list in Marvel Snap compared to a game like Gwent or Disney Lorcana, where you've got 25 or 60 cards in a deck, and the meta is much more interesting, really, because the whole retreat snap mechanic isn't there. Obviously, the game's just more complex inherently, and it's just, yeah, I think at some point I've just realized that I lost my passion for Marvel Snap. So there's a few different things, right? The gameplay of Marvel Snap, the deck building, the whole gameplay loop overall, just not feeling particularly rewarding. Also, the content creation space being very, very saturated with high quality content creators. It felt like I was having to work incredibly hard to produce videos which weren't performing as well as I would hope, which is obviously quite demoralizing. Maybe I just need to get better, which is absolutely something I think I can agree to. And I think I've definitely got better as a result of my experience with Marvel Snap. So another thing as well, in terms of like the content creator space and my unenjoyment with Marvel Snap, because this is still kind of the second point. The first point, bit all over the place, no script. The first point is like the gameplay loop and game design overall just not quite satisfying me anymore. The second point is the content creation space in general. It's very saturated. There's lots of very high quality content creators. But also the Twitch space, man, on Marvel Snap is so toxic. Now, this is a hot take. Now, I don't care. I'm not really uploading for the games anymore. I've got many friends in the Marvel Snap community. Not really got a bad word to say about anyone. I've had nothing but positive interactions. But oh my goodness, as a creator in Marvel Snap, the Twitch space is absolutely obscenely competitive, right? Twitch drops happen, and a lot of the kind of, let's say, creators that are like maybe the 5th to the 20th most popular creators when Twitch drops happen, a lot of these creators actually have their viewers decrease. Now, you might be wondering why that is. And that's because a lot of the guys at the top of the category are just absorbing all this viewership. And there's some kind of like coalition where a lot of the top creators will do little shifts of 8-hour streams and then host the other person and host the other person. Listen, they're absolutely entitled to do what they want, but what that then creates is kind of for these people that are maybe like 5th to 20th roughly in terms of like viewership in the category, what ends up happening is their usual stream slot, instead of them getting a big boost to their viewership actually decreases, because the way Twitch works is people that have the most views get prioritized by Twitch, those streams get clicked on. Now, again, controversial. I wanted to talk about this for a while. I don't care, man. Whatever. Let's talk about it. What actually that ends up happening is this ends up being incredibly demoralizing for those people that are lower in the category, because the Twitch drops happen. It should be a really exciting time for them. But instead, you're like, oh, okay, cool. So it happened to me a few times where I was like, oh, I'll probably wake up a few hours earlier to stream. Maybe I'll get like a host of someone, like maybe my friend's hosting, maybe I'll get a host. And then a really big streamer comes online, and like after 20 seconds of them being online, they get a host. Again, fine, they're entitled to do that. I'm just telling you my experience as a content creator. It is incredibly demoralizing to see that kind of thing be happening. And you start to wonder, okay, why am I actually bothering streaming the game? Which is exactly what I stopped doing. I stopped streaming the game, and I just decided, oh, if I'm going to check this deck out off stream, because I actually don't want to stream the game. It felt quite demoralizing. And as a streamer, it's probably a bad habit of mine, but I am very much number driven. If I see the viewer count being lower than I would like, it does have an impact on my mood, which is a me problem. And again, I'm only like talking about this to kind of draw attention to my experience as a Marvel Snap content creator. Now, third thing, which I have a problem with, or something that I had issues with in my enjoyment of creating Marvel Snap content. Third thing, the flipping way the game is so predatory is absolutely abhorrent and really, really difficult to be a content creator and just be buying the season pass each month, right? Like the season pass is the starting point. It's a £10 or $10 season pass where you get access to a card which is locked behind a paywall. That already to me is not acceptable and has absolutely been normalized in Marvel Snap as being a normal thing. I don't think that should be a thing where a card is locked behind a paywall, but in Marvel Snap at this point, that is absolutely normalized behavior. I was buying the season pass every month without even giving it a second thought. Now, having then kind of taken a step back from that, I didn't buy a couple of season passes around October, September time. Miss Marvel is the one that comes to mind in particular. And I still don't have that card in my collection. It's still in Series 5. It's still incredibly overtuned. And I still feel like I've got this massive sense of FOMO for missing out on it. I think that's absolutely obnoxious. You've then, of course, got the release schedule, which is one new card a week, which is a release schedule I was actually quite excited about initially. But I absolutely detest the release schedule of Marvel Snap. I find it incredibly unenjoyable for quite a few reasons. Firstly, from a content creator point of view, which is ultimately where I was kind of coming at from the game, is every creator and their nan is posting the same deck at the same time with the same 12 cards. So what it becomes is it becomes a race to get the video uploaded, which is not very much an inherent enjoyable experience. I mean, Dog Eat Dog World is cool, it's competitive, I get it. Again, just explaining why I have not enjoyed my experience as a Marvel Snap creator in the last 12 months or so, and a big reason why I've stopped making content for the game. Similarly, the ladder then for that next few days is just completely and utterly shaped by this one new card. So like this new card that came out a week ago, War Machine, I was like, oh, War Machine looks kind of cool. I might actually get that card and I might play a lockdown deck. Problem is, everyone's got War Machine and therefore the lockdown decks are bad. Like, I just don't like how much the new card is shaping the meta for the first few days. I much preferred the release schedule, for example, when we had Thanos Shuri. You had like 8 new cards all at once. There's lots of stuff to test. There's lots of stuff to make content on. There's actually some skill in deck building, which I just feel gets lost with the release schedule. Of course, then you've also got these very obnoxious bundles, which are like, wow, 3 times value, Dark Hawk, £100 for this skin, which is obnoxious. I think also a big thing which is not talked about enough in the Marvel Snap community is the series drop situation. When the season pass cards first came out, I really didn't like the concept of locking them behind a paywall. You had cards like Wave, which were quite powerful, but then 3 months later they would be available in Pool 3, and where you could get them very easily. Then what happened is when the Series 5 cards came out, the cards naturally dropped in series. I think Zabu and Hitmonkey. So Silver Surfer is an example, I think, of the last card where that happened, where it naturally dropped down in series. Now, Silver Surfer, which was a Battle Pass card, I think in January of 2023, was locked behind a paywall. But eventually, after a few months, it was free to play for players, and that kind of made it a more reasonable thing. But what the designers have, I don't want to say the designers, but the product team that are trying to maximize profits, which absolutely, of course, that makes sense. You can't really knock a game for trying to make profit. That's like kind of the whole purpose of making the game. What they've done then is they've said, okay, well, what if we keep this Zabu card, this Dark Hawk card in Series 4? Even though I don't think Dark Hawk wasn't a Battle Pass card. Zabu and Hitmonkey are the two that come to mind. They were both very good cards on release. And then instead of them naturally progressing down on a timeline to drop in series, they're still to this day in Series 4, which I think is absolutely outrageous and unacceptable. Like, these cards were paywall cards. They should be, after a few months, being available in Series 3 to all players, but you're still being massively punished. And what this results in is results in a FOMO loop, where now I didn't buy Miss Marvel like 5 months ago, and she's still in Series 5. That is completely unacceptable, and Marvel Snap content creators need to be more vocal about this. You need to support your communities. Maybe you disagree with my stance, that's fine, but I do not think that it's acceptable to have cards locked behind a paywall still remaining in Series 5 all this time later. Because what actually happened for me is I didn't get Miss Marvel. I feel terrible about it. I'm waiting for her to maybe drop down to Series 4 to finally get her, because I don't know when that's going to happen. Is that ever going to happen? Who knows? Because you've got this ambiguous release schedule, which is completely anti-consumer and is fully designed at making players have this fear of missing out and therefore increasing profit. And I do not like the way that is. I understand it, but as a content creator, it leaves me in a very difficult position to support that, right? I don't really want to be in a position where I'm normalizing buying the season pass every month. But as a content creator, I made a few videos where I was like, yeah, I'm not going to buy the season pass much more. And then Scar came out and I was like, well, I kind of want to make a Scar video, so I guess I'll buy it, right? It's just a weird spot for the game. Overall, I love Marvel Snap. At its core, I think it's the best game I ever designed. I do also want to point out, right, like I was unironically, I mean, these are all my old Gwent videos. We're going to have to scroll for a long time. But I was unironically the first ever Marvel Snap creator in the Marvel Snap Twitch category. I was streaming in the Marvel Snap Twitch category before the game was released. I was super invested in the game very, very early on. I was playing in day one of the beta, making content for the game in the beta where the views for the game were incredibly low. And yeah, now I am here feeling this. Here we go. Daredevil and Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel Snap deck. Kind of crazy my thumbnails were better then than they are now, but that's the story for another day. I'm going to get an ad on my own video here, but you can see 24th of August this was, before the game's release, and this is not even one of my first videos. So I've been around Marvel Snap for a very, very long time, longer than pretty much anyone. I think Binks and I are pretty much like the two creators that were posting YouTube videos in particular that are still around in beta. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Marvel Snap. I love the game. I think the community's great, even though I've kind of made some slightly controversial comments in this video. I've got nothing but good things to say about the content creator space in terms of people. I just don't like how competitive it is, and it was quite an unenjoyable experience actually to make content for the game in the last year or so. So I think having now moved on to creating content for something else I'm more passionate about, it's kind of helped me reflect on that. It's actually, I've been wanting to make quite negative videos about Marvel Snap for a long time, but I just haven't felt motivated enough really to make Marvel Snap videos. I lost that passion. So this was supposed to be an update video, kind of just from a point of view of, oh, if you guys didn't know, I'm making content elsewhere, but it kind of turned into a bit of a rant about my things that I'm not a huge fan of in Marvel Snap overall. And yeah, let's post it, let's ship it, let's create a bit of a stir, let's create some talking points. Let me know what you think about everything I said. I'm sure there's going to be some people going, guy's just a crybaby, he doesn't get views and is throwing toys out the pram, but that's really not the case, right? I can reflect that I am not getting the views I was wanting because I'm not as good as some of the other creators in the space. I think Marvel Snap is blessed by incredibly talented Marvel Snap creators that I cannot compete with. I cannot compete with these guys playing the game for many hours a day. And in fact, to kind of end on this point, the moment I realized my career as a Marvel Snap content creator was doomed was when I attended a Marvel Snap LAN event in Manchester, England in June last year. And it was like past midnight. I was like playing chess with Fresh Lobster. And then you had Lammy and Harry and Browday, who are all Marvel Snap content creators, of course, who were just jamming Marvel Snap and talking about it and have a great time. Like that level of passion is something that I just could not compete with ultimately. And that's what I want to kind of end this point on, is these people like that I've kind of, you know, singled out and mentioned their content. I mentioned Regis not snapping. Again, clearly that's not a knock on anyone at all. I'll be very, very clear on that. I have nothing but respect for all the people making content for Marvel Snap because I think it's incredibly difficult to do and can at times feel somewhat alienating, particularly for those kind of people, as I mentioned, that are 20 to 5th to 20th in the category, roughly speaking, when those drops happen. And I hope that this video can perhaps inspire some discussion points and make things better for those people moving forwards, because I'm sure I'm not alone in my kind of feelings of yeah, the word's kind of escaping me, but my feelings of not quite failure, but I used the word earlier. English is hard, man. It's been a long video. I'm gonna go end this video. I'm actually supposed to be recording a meta report for Disney Lorcana, so I better get back to that. But I just thought spontaneously it was a good time to record something about my future on this channel. I'm probably going to post some Marvel Snap stuff down the line if there's a card which catches my eye. Yeah, I'll probably do it. I'm still the world record holder for the best, quickest climb to infinite, by the way. So I'm probably going to do another one of those speedruns. That's something I actually really enjoy doing, the Marvel Snap speedruns. I'm still the world record holder for that by a massive distance, actually. So if anyone wants to try and beat my world record, 7 hours or 8 hours or whatever it is, from rank 1 to rank 100 in one go, I'd be down to bring that back. That was some content I actually really enjoyed making for the game. So if there was more competitive nature for Marvel Snap, if there was an esports scene, all that kind of stuff, I would be much more engaged in the game right now. But as it is, the game is not quite doing it for me. And I want to take this moment to say thank you to everyone that supported my Marvel Snap content over the past 1.5 to 2 years. I want to say thanks to the designers of the game for making a great game, even if I don't always agree with all the design choices in terms of monetary. And I'm sure many of the designers on the game probably share my sentiment, funnily enough. And I want to say cheers to you for watching. All right, time to end this. Goodbye, Marvel Snap. It's been a pleasure, but I'll probably see you at some point in the future. As for people wondering where's Gwent, yeah, if I want to check out Gwent, I'll check it out. So you can expect to see some videos on this channel if I want to play Marvel Snap or Gwent, or if there's like some kind of other card game which catches my eye that's not Lorcana, probably expect to see some stuff here. Let me know if there's anything you guys would like to see on this channel in particular. Cheers.